In 1963, Marvel Comics was set to launch a brand new title, a title that would forever change the comics landscape. I'm talking about The Avengers, and this is Reading the Avengers. My name is Derek M. Cook, and I've been a fan of the Avengers for a long time, and I thought I pretty much knew the origin of this super team, not what's portrayed in the MCU. Captain America was not there from the beginning. The original founding Avengers were the Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Iron Man, brought together by some strange twist of fate, initiated by Loki. You see, Loki was imprisoned on the Isle of Silence. He had done something and he was bound there, but just his body was, not his mind. And using his mind, he creates a series of dastardly illusions on Earth in Midgard to make the Hulk look bad. Basically, he wants people to think the Hulk is on another one of his rampages. And the idea is that Thor will respond to this rampage, and then Loki can get Thor and get back to the Isle of Silence, and then do whatever it is Asgardians do when they're not getting along. Well, things don't quite work out the way Loki wants them to, because the Teen Brigade, which is a group that was put together by Bruce Banner's friend Rick Jones, sees that the Hulk is on a rampage, and, well, they're friendly to the Hulk. They don't think the Hulk did whatever it is Loki made the world think he did, so they're trying to get a hold of the Fantastic Four to try to help him. Not stop him, help him. When Loki sees this, and like, no Fantastic Four for you, and he disrupts the signal. He sends the signal to Thor, but it's also intercepted by Iron Man, by the Wasp, and by Ant-Man. Now, the Wasp and Ant-Man are together, and their interactions are a bit cringy. Ooh. I can't see why you have to stop and powder your nose every time we have a mission. He also tells her to keep quiet and wants her to not use her powers of flight right now because he doesn't want her to be too tired when they get to the Hulk. Oh boy, this is 1960s writing. I know, I gotta remember the time, but oh, it's still a bit cringy. What's also interesting, though, is that when Iron Man intercepts this transmission asking for help with the Hulk, he makes it seem like he doesn't necessarily believe that the Hulk is real, like it might be some sort of urban legend. I've always wondered whether the Hulk really existed. Well, Tony's gonna get involved because he says life's just been way too dull. Well, the Avengers are just starting, so that makes sense, I suppose. So he's gonna go as well, and of course Thor is on his way too. Once everybody meets up, again, the Wasp is given some of the most cringy dialogue I've read in a comic book, in a superhero comic book. She swoons over Thor, and Ant-Man in response tells her to stop acting like a lovesick female, while she's asking questions like, how can I ever make him notice me? Come on. Okay, I know this is something I'm going to have to deal with as we read these earlier issues of the Avengers. I just hope it gets better sooner rather than later. The Hulk has decided that he's going to go underground, or at least into hiding. And how does he hide? He pretends to be a living robot named Meccano and joins up with the circus? Okay, I don't know how much time has really passed here. There's a few moments where it's talked about how long it took for like Iron Man to get from where he was to the American Southwest, which is where the Hulk was. Several hours. But the Hulk went from running from whoever to pretending to be a living robot named Meccano to joining the circus in just those hours? Okay. Flexible time, and well, Marvel, flexible time. Anyway, so he's Meccano, the living robot, and nobody knows where the Hulk is except for Ant-Man's ants. One of them spots him, so they all converge on the circus to come up with a way to let the Hulk know that they're his friends. They're not there to bring him in. They don't want any trouble. They just want to help him out. Well, the Hulk's not hearing any of this because he's just tired of being chased all the time. So there is a battle that ensues. There is some back and forth with Iron Man and the Hulk. And you know who's the most effective during this entire battle? It's Ant-Man. I'm actually a little surprised by Ant-Man's role in this comic because it makes it seem like Ant-Man might be the best man to lead the team, if not for the way he treats his partner, Wasp. But no, he's the one who figures out how to trap the Hulk, where the Hulk was. He does it all. And even at the end of the comic, he's the one that says to everybody, hey guys, we've been talking, what if we team up? It's him. I don't think I remembered that from reading this comic years ago. I had read a reprint of Avengers #1 somewhere along the way, and I didn't remember that the Ant-Man was the guy who really kind of brought the team together in this way. He was the one that was kind of leading the charge. We'll see if he takes a leadership position down the line as we continue this series. Something else that caught my attention about this comic was Stan Lee's dialogue. Stan Lee, I mean, we all know, Stan Lee wanted to be a novelist. Stan Lee really liked to use, well, a lot of really great words. Go back and read any of his work and you'll see it. Well, in this comic, he has, in the narration, in a trice, the hunted has become the hunter. In a trice. T-R-I-C-E. Do you know what that is? I kind of assumed or gathered from the context, but I had to go look it up, which is, I'm sure, something that Stan Lee was quite proud of making readers do when they read this comic, when they read this comic way back in the day, making them go look up and learn new words and expand their vocabulary. Will I start using the word trice in this way? Well, probably not, but it was still pretty cool. Also, Thor's hammer has a power that I'm not overly familiar with. At one point, while he's fighting Loki at the Isle of Silence, he places his hammer on the ground and it starts to soak up all the magical energy, including Loki. There's a panel in which Loki is being drawn to his hammer and actually stuck to Mjolnir. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's how I pronounce it. He's stuck to Mjolnir itself, and it's really something I've never seen before. I don't know if this is a power that sticks and continues along the way. I don't know. I guess we'll find out as we continue to read the book. And then at the end, I already talked about how the Ant-Man's the one who says, let's all form a team. At least he gives the Wasp a little bit of credit in this announcement when he says the Wasp and I have been talking, but still, he seems to be the one who's said, let's all team up. And Iron Man's like, yeah, sure, why not? And Thor's, let's all do some good. And the Hulk's like, yeah, I guess we'll be friends. It's weird because the Hulk is presented in a not dumb kind of way. He's not this kind of grunty, Hulk smash, or he actually forms complete sentences and can make really cohesive decisions and just really not the dumb brute that you sometimes expect the Hulk to be, especially when you think about how the Hulk started back in the day. But he agrees to join the team as well. And the Wasp is the one to come up with the name of the team. It should be something colorful and dramatic, like the Avengers, she says. And the name stuck. The 5 founding Avengers, Ant-Man, the Wasp, Hulk, Iron Man, and Thor, have teamed up. And thus is born one of the greatest superhero teams of all time. Powerful, unpredictable, brought together by a strange quirk of fate. The Avengers are on the march and a new dimension is added to the Marvel galaxy of stars. I have no doubt that back then they had no idea they were creating a comic book that would, well, basically stand the test of time and inspire so many other types and forms of media, whether it's spin-off comic books, cartoons, television programs, and the MCU. It's amazing to see where this started and look at where it's gone and where it's continuing to go as things like the MCU continues. 2 more things before we wrap this up. There is one bit of narration about midway through the book that reads, "Never have human eyes beheld such an awesome spectacle. Never has mortal man witnessed such a stupendous sight." This is in reference to the battle that's happening between the Hulk and the rest of the, well, what would be the rest of the Avengers. And I can't help but think that, boy, humanity had no idea what was coming. If that's really what they were thinking, oh boy, they had no idea. Also, something that I found really interesting. You were expecting me, Loki. That means you have committed some foul deed, knowing I would come to avenge it. And avenge it I shall. So before the Wasp suggests the name the Avengers, Thor actually uses the word avenge a couple of times earlier in the book when he's fighting Loki, and I found that interesting as well. Was that intentional? Was that foreshadowing? I don't know, but I thought it was kind of neat to have that name dropped before the official announcement at the end of the book announcing the formation of the team. Granted, when you pick up the comic off the newsstand, it says the Avengers right there on the cover, so you know what the team is going to be. You know it's a team book and what's going to happen, but still, it was kind of neat to see the word Avenge come up a few times before the finale of the book. Also, this is a one-and-done story, which I think we're going to see a lot of at the early stages of the Avengers, and really just comic bookdom in general. They really didn't get into the longer story arcs until much later in the game, and hopefully we'll get to that point. My name is Derek M. Cook. This is Reading the Avengers. I hope you liked what you saw. Please continue to watch as we go through every single Avengers comic book ever. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind, and maybe even hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified every time I put up a new episode. Oh, and don't even get me started on the fact that Wasp's name isn't even on the cover of this comic.